say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Water is the softest and most yielding substance, yet nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and rigid, because nothing can compete with it. Lao Tzu.
straight new wave. Name straight new wave. Name straight new wave. Name straight new wave. Name straight new wave.
I'm not crazy, Malin. I'm not crazy, Malin. I've just been in a very bad mood for 40 years. 40 years.
Carpe diem. Carpe diem.
Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yours.
Ever from esports, trying to find what angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a whoa! See White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
Beast Mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna give themselves a big old 4K. Santi's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Saga is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick onto Linky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Boom! Manages to find a 3K!
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy, popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The fourth one as well. Do they get the ace? They get the ace.
And welcome back, everybody. It's another night, another day of CGL Season 16 action, and we're finally here on Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern, rounding out the first week of the playoffs bracket here for the Diamond Division. We had just seen a couple matches earlier today. Is the last one of the week, but definitely more coming up as we now round out the corner with Aura Fury coming up against Diamond Eagles for this best of 5 series, and it could definitely go either way, but at the end of the day, it's gonna have to have someone go down losers and someone go throughout winners. I'm with Mega Last, and we're gonna be covering this series for you guys tonight. Mega, I'm excited. How are we feeling going into our first match?
You know, it's gonna be a fun one. I think it's the most typical NA fashion for a Diamond player, playing at a very degen hour starting at 10 p.m. But, you know, if anything, it embodies the tier perfectly here, so you absolutely love to see it. And again, both these teams obviously want to move on in that upper bracket, but like you said, Mott, someone's got to go down.
Someone's got to go down. And with the bracket, of course, itself, it's already started to round out in the Diamond Division. This is the last one needed to complete that first initial week, right? We have Death Blossom looking great as a first seed, already throwing their opponent earlier this week, and Wawa Gaming just yesterday getting that 3-1 over Cuddle Puddle. We also had Shelby's team with a beautiful 3-0 against Stale Ducks. And so, as you can see, that lower bracket is already rounding out to be pretty difficult, especially with Cuddle Puddle going down so early in that in the matchup, right, in the bracket. So Aura Fury and Diamond Eagles have the work cut out for them. Whoever wins here will have to go up against Shelby's team, which again, need I remind you, 3-0ing a Stale Ducks in the first round is extremely impressive, and also a statement to be made from the opposing side. So again, gonna have to see who comes out on top. And it all starts out beautifully on Lijiang Tower, as did every single other match did today, or at least this week.
I mean, it's Lijiang. It's El Clasico. Teams are going to pick it 18 billion times in a row if they had the option to, because, again, it's just a map everybody has comfort on. So it more than makes sense for what these teams are going to be heading up against. Because, again, it's also just another good litmus test of, like, seeing how everybody's going to match up against each other. Very even playing field, some might say. So if somebody can just walk away with it really quickly on Lijiang, that could be setting the tone for the rest of the series.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I love Gishan Tower. Again, all three sub maps are super, super flexible with what you want to play. You can kind of see in the preview here, Control Center probably is the most brawl heavy of the three sub maps available on Lijiang Tower. But otherwise, if we're really doing push comes to shove, it's a good chance that we're gonna see some brawl action coming in from either team here, especially with the competition itself being really popular, I would say, as of late, unless you're kind of going to a specified dive or poke map, like for example your Gibraltars or your Circuit Royales of the world. I do expect to see a Zara, I expect to see Orisa, I expect to maybe even see Mauga come out on deck here, but it all depends on exactly where we start off and where we want to also place our bands as we enter this map number 1.
Exactly, and bans can kind of sort of mean everything here, because, you know, again, just being able to limit what somebody is going to play if they've got comfort picks, especially down here in Diamond, right, where you're more prone to seeing people who are potentially one or two tricks um, on heroes, you know, being able to limit them and sort of box them in, as it were, can be an interesting side effect of that here. But as we are waiting for the ban to come through, I'm interested to see how it's going to start off, and it seems like question mark. Zarya, okay, the Zarya ban comes through. This is a common ban we've been seeing, just because like Zarya is very, very strong right now. Not really a ton of counters, and once she gets high charge, again, just it's old classic Zarya. Once she gets high charge, she gets the ball rolling and does any and everything.
Yeah, she's super duper momentum based, and again, she has really come up out of the woodworks as the tank choice for a lot of teams here from this level and above. Right, so with Diamond Eagles knowing, okay, we have the Zar ban on deck here. What do we want to ban on the DPS or support side of things? And it's gonna be the Go Lucky Tracer, taking her out of the engagement, taking her out of the fight entirely, and really mitigating any sort of backline pressure, really mitigating any sort of also pressuring out the objective itself. You know, if you're kind of pushed up far forward, Tracer and Genji's also in the world are really good at sidelining everyone, going to the back and forcing the objective. So that would be a really nice thing that Aura Fury also don't really have to deal with, and neither do Diamond Eagles. So I think these bans are very strong in their own right, and also really safe for not only the teams, but also the map itself.
Exactly here, and as we get a look at the team's lineup, starting with Aura Fury, you know, again, these are potentially some targeted bans here, as we're already seeing from a reason on that Tracers, but also having Festus on that DPS line, Potato Boy on tank, and then back in theory on supports here. You know, these bans, they can be very targeted. I mean, we've had a whole regular season now. These teams can definitely check the VODs, figure out what each other like to play, and get a little bit more information on any and everything.
Yeah, for sure. And with Aura Fury coming up on deck up against the Diamond Eagles, a return team for the season of the Diamond tier. Let's see what they're going to be rolling out with on their first 5, and they're rolling in their starting 5, right? We have Fluky coming up here, and we also have Oofer, both of which are on that DPS. I mean, Oof Gang as well, leading the charge in the tank side of things, and in that backline, the return of Ducky. We also have Sin Ari coming through in the back line. So really excited to see these guys once again. Some of them come back and make their second appear or make a reappearance in the CGL Season 16 bracket, and also seeing exactly how much they've improved since last season. And I'm happy to see them again back here in playoffs and ready to duke it out against Aura Fury. But everything has been said and dusted. We are ready to go. Lineups have been established. We have our bands. We have our potential picks here for the compositions. You have the Ramattra coming in from Oof. We also had a preference of the ball on Aura Fury, so that also could be an indication of what we might see between not just Lijiang Tower, but also in the rest of our first to three.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things of having the options, having all the versatility in the world here, and how these teams are going to shape up. Because again, we can pour all of this thought and stuff into it, but at the end of the day, when we put pen to paper, that's when the match is going to be played here. Starting off on the control center here. Generally, this obviously leans towards more brawlier compositions, but like you were saying earlier, Mott, you really can get away with everything these days here on Lijiang Tower. So, as we're taking a quick little peek into the spawn rooms, at the very least on this side, we do have the Ramattra being hovered right now. No speed in sight, just the Curie Wu Yang backline, which is a lot of healing, a lot of damage output. But again, lacking that utility versus on the other side of things, we're seeing that speed boost in play as well as a wrecking ball being hovered.
Yeah, I'm glad we are seeing that coming in from both of our teams today. We also have P-Bach on this Ana, a little bit of an unconventional selection here. Also, the backline has finally been solidified here for Diamond Eagles. Ducky is going to be sticking to that Wu Yang, and Sonari will be sticking over to that Kiriko once more, giving that speed boost just to have Diamond Eagles have a chance of getting to the objective at the same time as the hyper-fast Aura Fury. That being said, though, it does look like the server room is going to be the place of choice here for Diamond Eagles, as we do see Aura Fury trying to disrupt them a little bit with this ball composition. Does come into the fruition of a reason. Getting that rail shot onto Ufer, playing that soldier, and Festus trades off against Fluky. That being said, 4v4 opening of the objective is going to be actually Aura Fury, who are going to be putting their feet on the board here and getting the objective in their favor.
Exactly, and so now, again, it's about making sure these fights don't stay extended for too long here, but it's, again, a little bit of a stall effort where Aura Fury is going to be able to get back into this fight eventually, and the ball was able to stall out a few percentage here, but look at this, they're already ready to re-engage.
They sure are, and they re-engage, and they actually find two for their efforts, taking care of the Ana, taking care of that Genji as well. So Festus hasn't really been able to have a chance to really blossom in any of these engagements, being the first one or second to go down. Diamond Eagles flip the point, and they are now above in percentage level against Aura Fury.
And now we are seeing Diamond Eagles, again, like you were saying, being able to sustain a little bit here. But as we're heading into this next fight, Potato Boy, you're obviously making a lot of space on the point, but you have to do a little bit more than that. Your team has to be able to engage and follow up with you here, as Diamond Eagles is just holding and sort of ignoring the Wrecking Ball for the time being.
They're going to have to. They have Ufer on this off angle of the high ground. We do, again, trade off Sonari for Festus. Sonari is going to be going down, putting a lot of pressure onto Ducky to get that healing output, but Fury runs up, gets the boop, and Ufer is off of that high ground, and Ducky follows their soldier thereafter. Theory once again popping off on this Lucio, getting Fluky out of the engagement, leaving poor old Wolfgang all by himself, but there's a cleanup. There's also a slight stall from Diamond Eagles, so they are able to kind of chip over that 60% marker here with some ults to also back it up.
Yeah, and so now finally, with it feels like a proper reset going here now that Diamond Eagles are the ones that have to come back in. We have a lot of ultimates built up, but the question is, what are they going to be able to do with them, especially when you're already getting picks like this from Ufer?
That's really big. And, Ufer had gone over to the Cassidy now, and we know how powerful Cassidy has really been in the grand scheme of things. The minefield gets used in the entryway, and Scenario unfortunately gets moved right into one of those minefields. The Shadow Blast committed onto Fluky, but not really going to find a stun. In fact, we're going to find a fight loss here for Diamond Eagles. Numbers are starting to dwindle as really Aura Fury only expended that minefield and sound barrier to not only disengage, force that Diamond Eagles to disengage from the main area, but also sustain through this fight.
Yep, and again, being able to survive despite that first pick going the way of Diamond Eagles, this sort of bend but don't break mentality, Aura Fury, now being able to also sustain a lot of those ultimates. They have the Nano Blade coming up here. They'd love to be able to delay this fight until that final fight territory, and then just being able to let it rip.
You can see Reason coming in with that overclock, trying to back out a little bit. Shadow Blast mirrored, not even mirrored, but also combined with that Dragon Blade, completely focusing the forces of Aura Fury's Wrath into the backline of Ducky and Stenari. Boop does come through. The Deadeye still at least finds one, but the secondary boop is going to be rolling through by Potato Boy, who has really been an unspoken hero from Aura Fury to maintain this objective in their favor. 5% left is all they need to full completion.
And so now having to try to get into the objective here, as well as a minefield over top the point, you're seeing it's just a little bit difficult here, but Diamond Eagles already do have one pick in their favor.
They do at the expense of a Death Blossom, however. The rest of the follow-up is coming onto that back line, and there goes Peabok, there goes Reason as well. Finally, Diamond Eagles in the thick of it, find the flip at 70%.
And so now Diamond Eagles being able to hold on to this, as well as they have some tools in the back pocket, right? That Annihilation still looming as a threat here, especially if we can get onto a key target like Bach on this Ana here. That's going to be the main thing here as they're attempting to dive onto this back line.
Ooh, it looks like Ufer was a little bit too far up, however, and Festus called out easily by that disjoint from the Wu Yang, easily taking that pick there for Ducky. That, as I mentioned, Annihilation is online, will be ripped open, and basically can see how quickly Potato Boy is clearing the field here. Theory might be the one going down next, but thankfully everyone clears the space, coming in for the retest, the recontest, and now we're at 99 to 99% territory in the overtime fight. Nothing is online for Diamond Eagles unless you can get Uber to build up the last round 15% to this Deadeye. The Hindernate takes care of a Reason. It's back and forth trade-offs, but one side is down, one support, the other side down, both. And with that being said, it should on paper be a win here for Aura Fury. What a sleep from Peabok to make sure that that Reaper is not going to get any more frontal value in the engagement. The nade slightly whiffs onto Oof Gang, but of course, this rotating Wrecking Ball finds the kill, we find the elimination, and there's a Nano to finish off the dessert treat that we have seen from Aura Fury.
Yeah, and again, this back and forth here, but again, Aura Fury's composition is just sort of like a cockroach, right? You're never going to be able to get rid of it. This Wrecking Ball is going to be a persistent factor to help get everybody else back into the fight in the time they needed to here. But again, that was just round number one, and we saw how back and forth it was. I think you can clearly tell how we're going to be going for the rest of the series here. Diamond Eagles going to be sticking on that Ramattra comp. Still no speed in sight. Meanwhile, Aura Fury adapting to the new playground that comes with the night market here. We're going to see the Pharah in play as well as a Symmetra. The question is it just a teleport out of spawn, or is this going to be teleporting into the objective?
Well, on that note, we also are seeing the dismissal of the Ramattra in favor of the Drunkard Queen. And as you mentioned, yeah, we're going to be seeing that teleport out of spawn, and a Reason goes right back to that effervescent Sojourn here coming in from Aura Fury. With that being said, though, I do like the fact that we're already on the objective here, setting up this Pharah. The teleport does come through from the side of Fluky and immediately has to back out. That being said, Fluky gets that long-range elimination onto Festus with, of course, that newly enabled Urk, and there's a big nade committed onto that front line, but no follow-up is really necessary or needed from Aura Fury. They need to actually wait for a boop opportunity, which, of course, Potato Boy does kind of go for, but a little bit too far in from the side of that coastline for Diamond Eagles to fall into. They come back easily, and they also get that flip here. They're close it up here for this next fight.
Being posted up for the time being here, but you're seeing Potato Boy already looking for a chance to isolate. Nearly gets the Kiriko right away there, but Diamond Eagles again ready to strike back already.
Oh, this cast is going to be a big problem for Festus to get any sort of value. Same thing with, on that note, the Reaper. Of course, Fluky taking care of a Reason and then following up on the opposing DPS as well. Diamond Eagles looking fantastic on the second objective and forcing a full regroup from Aura Fury extremely early on.
Being able to force this regroup already, like you said, absolutely massive here. And Aura Fury, you know, they're not finding the success they were on the first round because it's harder for this ball to continue to pester and be annoying, but it's just a matter of Diamond Eagles being able to stay on this point and just continually persisting and being a threat here without going down.
Oh, but they're going to have to do so with the barrage gets two. They're shutting down the Deadeye, shutting down Ducky, trying to mitigate the lack of support from the Kiriko as, of course, Sonari taken down early in the fight. And just like that, 60% is all that we wrote for Diamond Eagles. Very similar to what we had seen on that first round. Now the flip is here for Aura Fury to work with.
Yeah. And so now, with that flip coming through, there was a bit of an extension of the tools there from Aura Fury. With that barrage, they still are going to have a minefield. And they, honestly, with how there's no speed on Diamond Eagles, they can just drop it on their heads.
They have to, though. You can see Potato Boy getting so low, and you get out with 16 HP. Oh no, this is the overclock of a lifetime. Not really able to find the Kiriko. Finally, we solidify the shots on that tiny hurt box, but we do find the flip here, right underneath the noses of underneath the noses of Aura Fury. They know that they can't. Their state is not very welcome for very long, so they go for the reset. But they did get an inch. They inched out 10% extra under their belt.
Yeah, a free 10%, but at what cost here? Now both teams coming into this next fight, tons of tools to work with. Again, Potato Boy realistically could just drop the minefield on their head as they're walking. No speed or anything like that to really help them get out of it when it comes their way. But Diamond Eagles are definitely going to try to find a way to engage quick.
We can hear the Tidal Blast does get used from Ducky, though. That's going to be a big opportunity for Diamond Eagles to continue this fight. But the anti-nade was massive from P-Box. And the subsequent pile driver elimination finds both the back line back in that spawn area. The point is still in favor of Aura Fury, and this minefield is definitely here to stay. No one can touch from Diamond Eagles, and we're going to go for a very quick reset because they have to here. Oh no.
They have to reset, but they're not being given the chance to, with, again, just being able to push up here. So now Aura Fury being closer and closer to yet another barrage here, as well as the nano boost to boot. You know, the biggest thing is just making sure that they can continue to connect with these biotic grenades and the slams. I mean, that synergy right there is what's showing Aura Fury to be this strong team.
And the dive has been impeccable, especially in the face of a brawl like this that likes to be so tight-knit together, not really anyone being super duper singled out. The Nano Boost does get committed onto Festus, who has now had enough opportunity to build up another barrage and takes care of Ducky. Overtime is happening in the back end of the fight. The Rampage does get a couple of heads, couple of antis, a couple of bleeding, but unfortunately it is just poor old Joker Queen all by themselves, and Wolfgang cannot do it alone. Overtime ticks on down, and it's gonna be a 2-0 here for Aura Fury, solidifying at least 1 point in the series so far.
Yeah, and despite the back and forth nature, being able to get some good fights in for both squads here. I mean, again, it was just sort of the lack of speed that we saw hindering time and again here. You know, you're just constantly caught out by this wrecking ball, by the Ana nades and things of that nature. You know, you only have one cleansing Susie. You're not going to be able to cleanse every single time these engages are coming through, and just being isolated like that time and again really was hurting.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. These anti-nades, these follow-ups that were coming in from Aura Fury were just a lot more successful for them, especially on that second run. You can really see the impact on Night Market and how well that backline really worked together with, of course, that front line to allow their ball to get as much value as he was able to, right? And not only that, on first round, that sleeper we had seen on the Reaper, mitigating any sort of extra pressure coming in on that last tail end of the fight of round one, also really helped Aura Fury to continue to stay alive and build up that minefield fast enough to make sure that no one else from Diamond Eagles was going to come in for that last minute touch. I have to say, very well done from Aura Fury, showcasing the dive of all things before a brawl on Lijiang Tower, which only makes me believe that as we move into our map 2 and map 3s of the night, we might be able to see a return of that dive, and this also means Diamond Eagles might want to pivot their attention off the Tracer, maybe more over to a ball ban, maybe even a Genji ban, a Sojourn ban, anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Now thinking about how the bans are going to be affecting things going forward, the Wrecking Ball obviously is going to be a massive target, but also, you know, in terms of map selection and places you could go as well, there's plenty of different ways that you could try to limit these sort of dive compositions here. I think the biggest question for Diamond Eagles is what their own plan is going to be, because obviously, you know, Aura Fury, we saw that them, you know, executing dives and synergy really well, but Diamond Eagles, their plan really just kind of seemed to be a whole W key, and it worked out for the most part. But when the adaptations were coming through and the isolations were occurring, it really sort of made that difference in the match, and that's how Aura Fury was able to walk away with Lijiang there. So I'm very interested to see if Diamond Eagles have some sort of approach they have planned out.
Well, the approach is going to be going to Flashpoint, but not really going to one of our more popular options, which of course is Survasa. We're going to go to Atlas. The brand new map just came out, or didn't just come out, but the newest map available to us for Flashpoint, kind of opening up that map pool a little bit there. And I like Atlas as an option here. This does kind of give Diamond Eagles a little bit more breathing room to work around in, and this also might be very beneficial for them, especially if they want to continue running a Queen, a Ramatra style composition, especially into Aura Fury's ball comp.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I do like some of the issue, like some of the things that Atlas can provide that are able to do any and everything with these brawl comps, like you said, the Junker Queen and the Ramatra here. But again, like you either have to take speed away from the other team, or you have to just, enable speed yourself, right? So that's going to come down to Diamond Eagles and their hero selection if they're comfortable and stuff like that. But yeah, again, the question of is that actually going to come up in the bans or not is, sort of what we're resting and lying on.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're waiting for is, what do we want to, what's the game plan? What are we going to do? Because a lot of teams, like, especially, I've noticed when it comes to specifically a ball ban, a lot of teams will kind of sit on it until map 3, and then have that be the start of their reverse sweep, ideally on paper, right? But sometimes you don't want to use it too late, or else, you kind of burn yourself in the back foot by losing out all the momentum that was going behind you going into that map 3, or vice versa, right? Whatever. So I'm not sure if they want to ban ball, or maybe even go for a protection on something like Cassidy. As well, might also be a very, very solid option. So kind of banning out something else in the DPS line of things, maybe even banning out Sojourn and just kind of forcing a separate DPS to be played, maybe even going for a Cassidy and Tracer DPS line at the end of the day, especially on Atlas. But with that being said, they actually are going to take your advice here. They're going to limit that speed. They're going to limit that rush factor coming through from the side of Aura Fury, taking out the Lucio.
Yeah, and so now, again, that's exactly what I'm sort of looking for here. Now the question is, how's Aura Fury going to respond? And they can look towards those tank options, right? Maybe you want to specifically play against the Junker Queen a little bit more squishier than a Ramatra as we go through the rounds and stuff like that. Or, you could try to take out some of those DPS options if there's something specific. It's just going to sort of be in that sort of ballpark trying to figure it out here. But as the timer has dwindled, I'm just magically waiting for it to appear. That's why I continue to talk. There it goes. The Ramatra is banned. They don't want the bulk. So if this brawl is going to come through, it's going to be slow, and it's going to be a very interesting level of fragile.
Yeah, it's going to have to be slow, because the only other support right now that can kind of supplement that speed boost is Juno. But unfortunately, my girl, she is not exactly your go-to support right now, kind of overshadowed by your Kirikos and your Wu Yongs and your Baptiste and your Anas of the world. We do see a couple of substitutions coming through here. Ascend, bestie, you're back. We have him coming in for Aura Fury, and we have Gato coming through on that back line for the side of Aura Fury as well. Diamond Eagles are sticking with their main 5. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, and they're ready to walk into this. Unfortunately, both Wolfgang and Ascend have Ramatra as their favorite hero, but neither will be, funnily enough, be able to play the character.
Nobody's going to be able to play the character that they want to here.
Not today.
But hey, listen, that is it at the end of the day. I would not be surprised if we were seeing some sort of mirrored brawl composition here, because obviously, could you still play the Wrecking Ball? Absolutely. But it would not hurt to sort of go brawl for brawl here against the Diamond Eagles, just to at least give yourself sort of a litmus test and figure out exactly where you stack up against this other team right now. You already have one map on the board. Might as well stretch a little bit, see how flexible you really are. Because right now, I mean, you are playing with a little bit of house money.
You really are. I kind of play a little bit with fire here. Having the... I also like to make a note that whenever you do have substitutions coming in, there's a little bit of a slight disruption of synergy as well. That you got ramp it right back up, especially when you're substituting in 1 or 2 people, and that is what Orifuri are gonna have to use that first round for. They gotta recuperate themselves and get into the flow of things. Whereas Diamond Eagles, they're warmed up, they're ready to go. They have momentum really building into them going into the second round or second map, excuse me, only because they've been playing together so far. So that being said, we have Atlas loading in here. It's been a while since we've seen Atlas come through as a map selection, because again, most teams like to duke it out on Suravasa and see where the cards lie.
Listen, I'm an Atlas enjoyer. I could watch this map all day, every day. I feel like each of the points offers a very different sort of setup. Lots of different points that have high ground control that you have to be able to contest and things like that. Tons of places that a hit scan who normally kind of struggles on flashpoint maps can really shine. So I absolutely love to see it here. But looking at the compositions in spawn here, it's going to be the Rhine versus the Zarya. Going to be... So I don't want to say interesting, but like on paper, the Reinhardt should have the advantage, obviously, against the Zarya, being able to just hold shield and not swing that hammer into the bubbles here. But being able to execute on that is going to be the bigger question.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. What I'm also a little bit worried about is seeing this Venture from Ufer, and not in a bad way. I think Venture is fantastic on Flashpoint, so I'm a little more scared for Aura Fury, funnily enough. Thankfully, Orizen is playing this Cassidy, so this Tinder nade is going to be a big stopping effect for Ufer if he's not really careful in how he engages with this Venture. Otherwise, Ascend can get a lot of free charge by allowing Festus to walk in and get free bubble charge, get free 40% onto the Zarya, and then you get that charge up. Both bubbles have been expended from Ascend. However, you can see Aura Fury are rotating down towards the objective. There is a forced touch coming through from Oof Gang, but we got back out immediately because there is actually a fight happening behind the scenes. Orizen and Gato both taken down early in the fight, and with only Fury really helping out Festus in a sense stay alive, it's just going to be a very quick cleanup here, and thankfully we do it before the objective has been capped by Aura Fury. Diamond Eagles looking great, and I'm glad they were able to flip that on its heels.
Being able to flip that is incredibly impressive. It did help out that Ascend kind of isolated himself from the rest of the squad there, not being able to do any and everything down on that point besides bubbling himself as the touches were coming through. But now getting into the next one already, you're seeing Ducky with that Tidal Blast ready to go here, and I don't think Aura Fury is going to see this one coming.
Another time where Fury is able to get a very sneaky elimination onto Fluky alongside that Ufer. As I mentioned, that is your counter, and Ufer has felt it from Orizen. Thankfully, the pin does come through for Oof Gang, so it's a little bit of a 2v1 trade-off for the side of Diamond Eagles that they are willing to take here. But unfortunately, you can see the pressure really building up against this Reinhardt. There is so many angles that he just cannot protect himself from for too long. And on top of that, there wasn't really a committal from Diamond Eagles for either of their support ultimates to maybe try to stall out this fight here. Ufer does come through, but immediately has to back up, and there's the flip we're looking for Aura Fury.
Yeah, but Aura Fury, I mean, Theory at the very end of that, it ends up expending his Tidal Blast. So now, you know, you are in this position where Diamond Eagles have the advantage, and that makes it even larger.
It does. Ufer takes down the Kiriko early on, and there you see this a little bit more of a more effective Tidal Blast coming through from the Cassidy. Thankfully, the bubble does help Orizen a tiny bit, but again, not going to be enough against the forces of Fluky, trying to get some revenge kills on the board here for the team. And it's a very quick fight, very quick flip. 4 ultimates online here for Aura Fury. Can they do anything against Diamond Eagles 4 as well?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, there's not going to be a touch unless... and there actually is a touch at the very last second thanks to the Reaper and Kiriko, but they're going to end up giving their lives, so it's going to be very scatter and a heavy invest.
Well, they're going to invest pretty heavily here. We have the Shatter, and we also have the Dragon Blade coming through. In response, we had heard the Deadeye go off, but didn't really find any heads to be clicked. Gato also has expended his continuing rush on the field, and for almost no payoff, all we really have left is Ascend, who is at 70% charge, to be completely fair, duking it out against the Venture and the Wu Yang almost single-handedly. At the end of the day, Blossom has done wonders previously in the CGL streams, and a TP from the Kiriko. This could be something big, and it's not going to be, unfortunately. Festus too hesitant to pull the trigger on that Death Blossom.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily blame the hesitation there in the slightest, right? You have a Venture in your face who's going to be able to disrupt you, as well as people like Kiriko and Wu Yang just shooting at you from a distance. Realistically, at best, you are getting a single kill out of it, versus you can hold it now for this next point. But the issue is, Diamond Eagles not only have point position already, but they have their Tectonic Shock and Kitsune Rush to work with, whereas Aura Fury has really tapped out the bank here.
That's what I'm so worried about. They're using the Deadeye. Oh, you know what? Maybe I was too harsh on you, Aura Fury. Maybe I was too harsh on you. The double tap with Dead Blossom, fantastic. The Tectonic Shock, as you called out with the Kitsune Rush, however, could be the win condition here for what Diamond Eagles. They completely revert the original value that was seen from Festus and pretty much turned it on its heels and gave themselves the slight fight win here. At the very least, they do have the point, but there is a Kiriko and a Cassie trying to look down this Reinhardt and Wu Yang, and without the forces of Ascend there, they gotta back out and respect the space being taken up by Diamond.
Exactly, but already the re-engage is coming through here, and now it's going to be interesting to see if they choose to expend this Tidal Blast or if they think they can just pressure the Reinhardt organically.
Oh, they're gonna use it. Oh, for sure. The Suzu does not, or is unable to mitigate that stun effect after the Tidal Blast. That's a very free, easy elimination in the favor of Festus. That'd be back up, and as you can see, Diamond Eagles are so good at understanding, you know what? We gotta back up. We're gonna respect the space. We're gonna regroup and go another day.
Yeah, and it's very important that they go another day here. You got 45% off of what realistically should have been a lost fight. I mean, you lost your supports early on here, but looking at the now, I mean, again, Aura Fury, as long as Ascend isn't using these bubbles too aggressively, like constantly having one for when these engages come through, is really being the difference maker and keeping some teammates alive.
We can see Tidal Blast does come in onto Uven, the Fire Strike right onto Fury. The backline has been eliminated from Aura Fury. And right after Gato had also again used his Kitsune Rush, unfortunately Aura Fury are not going to be able to really expend it. And with that being said, the shutdown of the Earth Shatter is felt from all angles of the world, and Ascend is trying desperately, but again, the out-angling from the I'll say Tracer, the Kiriko, the Venture, and the Rhine is too much for him to bear.
Yeah, and so now Diamond Eagles back in control here, trying to see how Aura Fury is going to want to re-engage into this one. They do have the Graviton, but not much else to work with here. As long as they're able to catch up onto at least one of these supports, though, I feel like the Graviton can be enough to at least break this open to give themselves a fair shot at re-flipping this point.
Well, now they're facing a Blade and a Kitsune Rush again. Slicing and dicing. Gato again taken down for the count. Looking at the next target of choice of Theory. That was nasty, Fluky. You know that was nasty. Graviton Surge, I just said it was online, but not able to be procced in any way, shape, or form. And definitely won't be anytime soon either. Point does go in favor of Diamond Eagles. And suddenly, you're on the cusp of you are forced into the situation of a reverse sweep for Aura Fury or losing the map.
Yeah, and it's a very odd position to probably find yourself in for Aura Fury, where, you know, they probably were expecting to fare a little bit better on this Brawl composition, but clearly they've just been up against it. Now, again, they still have this Graviton Surge in the back pocket, as well as the Death Blossom now to pair with it here, so you just have to find a moment where Diamond Eagles decide to group up. As long as you're catching on to 2-3 members here, then everybody should just be able to focus down these targets.
On paper, absolutely. But again, you're walking into a Tectonic Shock from Ufer. The Blossom still finds at least one, and the follow-up is very much felt from Aura Fury. Beautifully done. And honestly, I didn't know if it was going to actually come to fruition because Festus' health pool went so low that I thought it was going to be a full shutdown.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the deflect and things like that coming out. I really thought Festus was going to look worse here. But again, Ascend with a well-placed bubble as well as the Suzus coming through. They're really giving everything over to their Reaper to sort of enable Festus to make these big plays.
Oh, big grab coming in from Ascend. Only really finds the Reinhardt at the very latter half of the ultimate. So relatively didn't really get the amount of value that I'm pretty sure Ascend was looking for, but that's neither here nor there because Ufer didn't really find anything either with his Tectonic Shock. The Deadeye is also online as a safety net, but thankfully, I'm pretty sure Aura Fury won't need to I lied. They're gonna commit it, and that is the Shatter that is used, and a reason goes down to the Fire or to the speed pin, excuse me. Other than that, we are using the Shield Bash perk I just noticed, and why not use some more ultimates on that end to secure this fight win here. It's better now than never, if I'm really being honest.
Yeah, and so now already this fight, I mean, I would say the fight is still going here, but Aura Fury should be getting the cap realistically here, unless somebody can make a hero play. Seems like Ascend's already had to waste bubbles.
They have, but thankfully the follow-up is there, and there is going to be a trade, taking out a reason. But other than that, it's just, again, Wolfgang on the Reinhardt, staying alive for a little bit too long, and there is the eliminations coming through for Aura Fury. They take the third objective here, now having to look forward to round 4 and round 5 of Atlas, not Cervasa.
Yeah. And so now we are continuing, keeping this map alive here for Aura Fury. It seems like they found some level of footing. It's some good alt cycling that's been coming out right now as well here. But Diamond Eagles was certainly ready to throw it all in it to this fight. They're going to have, they're going to have this Dragon Blade as well as the Kitsune Rush, but it's already missing a tank.
Oh, it's a trade-off, though. Gato and Ascend taken down. We also have Ducky no longer in the fight. Sonar gets a beautiful headshot to Festus after the Death Blossom, which almost felt a little bit too front forward from Aura Fury without at least Ascend to pocket the Reaper in that event. So that's why Aura Fury are now back in this moment, having to regroup with just a Graviton Surge in tow.
Yeah, and so now Aura Fury is going to be able to come back into this one, like you said, with the Graviton Surge here, but a Kitsune Rush already meeting him at the door.
Oh, you know what's after the door? And it's just giving me the Shatter as well, who's already online. I think Wolfgang is looking for it, at least after the 50% marker would be a good chance to use it post Kitsune Rush. That being said, Fuki has also gotten the Dragon Blade on the field here. Gooper takes care of Gato in the field, and we trade off the Kirikos. Why not take care of Festus after the Shadow Step and the Deadeye, the classic reversal of the blade, of the deflect. Make sure that, yeah, Aura Fury is not going to get any more value, any more opportunities in this fight.
And so now, again, not looking for more opportunities here. You're seeing Aura Fury. They're just going to have to get somebody onto the objective, most likely Ascend here. But when this fight inevitably breaks out, you have so much to contest. But you already do have a pick.
You have a pick, and you have the Titanic shot coming in from Diamond Eagles. Ideally, this should be enough, right? Taking a reason out from the back and really catching him by surprise. That being said, though, there is the Kiriko trying to stay alive, but can only walk and climb walls for so long. It's just Ascend back on this Wrecking Ball. A lot of health alive for the ball at the very least, and the Kiriko teleports to safety, taken care of by the Wuyang. Fury waltzed right back into the loving arms of Wolfgang, and at this point there's nothing really online unless you can stall long enough for Gato to open up this Kitsune Rush, but it's not going to happen here, it's not going to happen there, it's not going to happen anywhere. Diamond Eagles have even up the scoreboard to a clean 1-1.
Exactly how we expected them to. I think Aura Fury did, very similar to what I was expecting here. They probably wanted the Brawl Mirror while they had the chance just to see, and I think, for lack of a better term, they were just outclassed, unable to keep up here. So it certainly changes the pace of any and everything. And so now, looking forward in the series with Aura Fury getting map pick going forward, I mean, you have to expect that they're going to be far, far away from Brawl, realizing that they're just at this much of a disparity right now.
Yeah, especially when you're not really able to capitalize on what makes Zarya and Reaper so strong, all because of one big shield boy. Really, the Reinhardt intel really mitigated any value that we were able to get from Ascend on that Zarya, that regardless if you had high charge or not, regardless, even if you had the perk where you can pierce through shield at over 50% charge, right? It almost didn't matter, and again, my big fear is the fact that this Venture as well from Diamond Eagles is so strong as a character in their own right on Flashpoint. Cervasa, you'll see them get banned out. You'll also see them get banned out on all the Flashpoint maps because those really enclosed spaces that typically Flashpoint lends itself towards does so much for Venture, and Venture can also not really have to overly rely on the backline to keep them up. They have shields every time they do any ability. They also can just kind of get out within not immobile, but invulnerable ability of the berry, So it really felt like Diamond Eagles were the ones that were too slippery to be found by Aura Fury this time around.
Yeah, and being, like you said, almost too slippery here, not able to adapt or catch up to whatever the plan was here for it's a very much a switch up for Matt from that first map, right? Aura Fury, they were very much in sync, being able to solve everything and going at the same pace here, whereas it feels like they were just completely on different feet right now, and that could be due to people switching in and out of the lineup, compositions, we don't really know at the end of the day. But whatever what the formula to success was back on map 1, I have an odd feeling Aura Fury is going to want to pivot back to that.
Yeah, I have to agree with you completely. I do think that maybe they want to go for a new ban of like maybe really going for a ball ban or solidifying a ball ban here or something like that, or even trying to just find something to work, a venture, a Genji, something like that. But as always, we are going to go to a very quick break for our between our map 2 and map 3, and we'll have our map 3 selection coming in from Aura Fury to see if they can bring back the momentum or if Diamond Eagles will take it all for the count. See you guys on the other end of this break.
You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
And we're back. Very quick little break, giving our team some time to rejuvenate, reset, and figure out where we're gonna go for map number 3. Series is 1-1 so far, so we're getting a guaranteed 4 maps at least for the final match of the first round of playoffs here for CGL Season 16 Diamond Division, right? So That being said, let's get into the nitty gritty. We just had and came off the heels of a relatively close Atlas game, but still finishing out 3-1 for Diamond Eagles. So Aura Fury have the world as their oyster. They can bring us over to a payload map. They can bring us over to a push map. And it looks like, Mega, we're going over to Circuit Royale. Another breath of fresh air in terms of compositions we could see from either side.
Yeah, and I think this is very interesting for Aura Fury to go here. You know, we saw their bread and butter sort of end up being those dive compositions here, so I was definitely expecting something within the dive pool here. You know, taking a quick look at the map pool, specifically for Escort, right? I mean, both Dorado and Watchpoint Gibraltar are options, but instead choosing to go for Circuit, so certainly they must have their own reasons here. Now the question is, what ban comes with it? If I had to expect anything, it's going to be something to again try to disable that Brawl, potentially the Reinhardt outright, as well as that could protect some tank options for you as well throughout the match. But actually it's gonna be Sigma. I feel as though if I'm maybe I'm crazy, but Diamond Eagles is probably cheering at the thought of this.
I feel like, first of all, banning Sigma is akin to banning Winston on Gibraltar. Why would you do that? This is his map. This is where he really shines as a tank. But I will say, I do think Diamond Eagles are very much like taking a big sigh of relief that it's Sigma being banned out and not, you know, any of their hero pools that have been so prominent, right? For example, you know, we can go to the Ramattra again, the Queen again, if you really want to, if you're talking about Brawl. But I do think that, you know, maybe going for the Pharah ban here is also relatively, I will say it's not as common as maybe like your Widowmaker bans or Freya bans, for example, even Hanzo to an extent. It's kind of mitigating that extremely long range sniper DPS line that you could play on Circuit Royale. But Pharah, I think is it's all right. We've seen it before from these guys.
Yeah, certainly been able to see it before, so would not be surprised to see it again here. But there are some substitutions as well here. The winning recipe, as it was, if I could speak English, is back in for the side of Aura Fury. Potato Boy and Bak both in the lineup here. Now the question is, are they going to be attempting to do dive compositions on Circuit Royale? And again, if this is what's going to happen, why did we not just play a dive map? That's just going to be lurking in the back of my mind.
They're gonna make it work. I guarantee you they're gonna play this ball composition on Gibraltar. See, I'm thinking of dive 2 on Circuit Royale. But to be fair, they had a lot, as you mentioned. This is like kind of the shining duo of Aura Fury. We saw so much good synergy and cohesion, specifically between Potato Boy and P-Block twice on Lijiang Tower that were both like fight-winning opportunities for both of them, right? So to have them back in makes a lot of sense. You also have Wolf Pup coming through. She will be substituting in for Diamond Eagles on that back line, hovering over the Mercy as a favorite hero. Can't wait to see what she brings to the table as we are loading into Circuit Royale. And we're going to see which team decides to attack and defend first. And that also, in of its own right, is a big opportunity to build some momentum back for Aura Fury, or allow Diamond Eagles to, again, continue on through the Circuit Royale with all of this momentum going back with them from Atlas's win.
Exactly here. Momentum can really be the key in a series here. It depends on your mental impact and things like that as well. But for the time being, the defenders you can be a little bit more certain about simply because they don't have as much time to swap around. And it seems like we're leaning towards more divey. It's kind of like a dive poke hybrid sort of setup here, because obviously you have the Wrecking Ball going in, sort of being a distracting agent here. But the rest of the team really is set up to poke with the Freya, Sojourn, DPS line, as well as the supports who can put out the damage, as well as the healing when it's needed here. Meanwhile, Diamond Eagles probably going to have a Widow grapple shot, but besides that, very standard sort of brawl approach that they're going to have here.
I gotta agree with you, and I really do think it's so interesting to see, you know, the different ideas. Diamond Eagles are playing a brawl frontline or with the Ramattra, but then they're playing a dive backline with the Genji, Brig, and Ana as the attack side. Or Fury, as you mentioned, playing something a little more pokier, hybrid of poke and brawl. You have your poke DPS of the Soj and the Freya coming online here, and Potato Boy needs to get out immediately, scout out in that small room, anti-naded, and pretty much hurting a tiny bit here as he roll right on through, do it once more, why not? Looking at the Widowmaker, there's a power driver, and there is the elimination, ideally. Yes, there it is. Even though Ducky tried to help out Ufer in that small room, it's not going to be enough against the forces of this ball.
Yeah, and finally being able to pester the Widowmaker enough here is going to force Uber to swap over to the Cassidy to be a little bit more sustainable against these dives and things like that. Because again, you have to remember, it's not a full-fledged team-wide dive. It is just Potato Boy going in for the most part alone here, with just some poke damage followed up from Aura Fury.
There's a power drive on the back line. Doesn't really find anyone to jump up in the air, unfortunately. No juggle coming through from Potato Boy, but there was elimination coming in from Festus, right? It did take care of Diamond Eagles a little bit here, and they're still trying to at least take care of somebody. That being Potato Boy, who is unfortunately called out in that extremely small corner room. A little more difficult to get out of, and you can see Aura Fury have effectively backed up enough to the second corner, actually, of Secret Royale.
Yeah, I mean, they can absolutely play this space. That's the great thing about this poke composition with them backing up. Not so great that Arisen got caught out there, but there should be a bit of a recontest before the end here. Potato Boy should be back to at least disrupt the cart, but now the issue is staying on cart is not safe when you have this anti-nade as well as the cast hinder to contest with here.
Well, I will say Potato Boy just rolled across the sky, funnily enough, and everyone got off the car. So there was no more progress really being made for the last little bit of this fight. We do see the Tidal Blast get used from Fury, and it does help out with some eliminations coming through for Aura Fury, only losing out on P-Bot here, as Diamond Eagles will go down for the count, and they will, in fact, get that full cap either way. So they have that full respawn. You can see them coming in, and you can see Aura Fury realize, oh snap, we gotta back up, we gotta reset on the high ground.
That was so cheeky from Fluky. I mean, literally just realized, hey, nobody's on the card, it's only 3 meters, and you just saw a Reason with no dash up or anything like that, just had to watch as the payload got capped. Oh my goodness, that's absolute tragedy. But again, now that you're on this high ground, this is where Aura Fury should, in theory, be favored here. They have the poke, they have the damage to just continue spam anybody who goes near that objective.
And yeah, and speaking of spamming, it's gonna be Oof Gang really the one frontlining the attack and gonna be the one taking the brunt of that poke you were talking about. On that note, we also have 4 ultimates to work with, and we also have less teammates than desired for Diamond Eagles. Wolfpup taken down early by her opponent, P-Bok, I believe here. That being said, P-Bok has a nano boost online, and I could really go to anybody. Could go to the ball, could go to the DPS as well. The options are almost limitless for Aura Fury.
Exactly, they have tons of tools to work with here. The question is what they choose to invest in. It seems like the minefield's going to start.
Will be. Oh, that's a good minefield. Oh, that's a really good minefield. Oh, it separated Oof Gang from the rest of the team. No one else could do anything about it. And on that note, you can see Potato Boy was really hell-bent on just making Oofer's life as miserable as possible. Now looking at Ducky instead, trying to bait out that rally. I had to commend Ducky for not giving into the pressure, though, and holding on to that rally for a little bit longer.
Yeah, being able to hold that for another day is going to be massive here. What's interesting, though, is look at this. Potato Boy just able to go in constantly here, and they're being just assaulted by nades by Aura Fury. Now that they have this high ground setup, Diamond Eagles with no speed boost, realistically, it's going to be damn near impossible for them to cross and find value with some of these tools like the Rally and Annihilation, just because they can't close the distance.
And you can see them trying to ignore the ball as much as possible and try to move over to this ideally this overextending Sojin and Wuyang. And Woofing has made it, but has the rest of the team cleared the same area? It looks like not. Everyone is staying around the objective, and Woofing is up there trying to at least demand some sort of space. Fluky says, screw it, I'll do it myself. With the Nano Blade in tow, finds 2, gets slept either way, but it's all for naught. P-Bok is not going to be allowed to see the fruition of that aforementioned sleep dart. Otherwise, we have Oofer, back onto the venture. The anti goes wide on Potato Boy, who does go for a last-minute contest, and all we have left is a minute and a half with 2 relatively solid ultimates in tow.
Yeah, and so now there is plenty of time, though, for Aura Fury to be able to contest. And the question now is just sort of how they choose to contest. Is it just going to be the minefield, or do they need to commit more?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the minefield does get used here. And again, the roll through forced it forced Wolf Pup kind of by herself. She got forced onto the staircase over the barricade, and then again called out by Potato Boy. That's big. A backliner gone. The Annihilation also getting committed by Wolfgang. It does find at least one in the fight, and we're gonna be able to at least force some extra meterage out of the objective for now. But there's a lot more numbers in favor of Aura Fury, at least until the rest of the Diamond Eagles can kind of walk their way back to the fight here. And again, it's not going to be enough. The Anthony goes wide onto Wolfgang, and you're down your front line right as your back line and DPS are able to come back from the spawn room. They're forced to refight and retake this high ground again.
Yeah, being able to take again here, but again, just look at everything that's happening. The disruption as Festus just gets to go absolutely crazy here with the OC. I mean, it's just this constant, almost overwhelming aggression here that Diamond Eagles can't really reciprocate or match because they're spending so much time trying to close the distance here. And now, with time dwindling, can anyone make it to the card?
Well, it's gonna have to come down to Ufer, who I think didn't make it, but then just kind of got, oh, they didn't even make it. He didn't even make it, my god. God got called out by a reason, and Festus. The rail shots have been on point. The overclock at the 18-second marker here was also really one of the finishing touches for Aura Fury to maintain this defense. Diamond Eagles basically pushed it, however, to, I would say, second point, give or take a couple of meters. So that's mentally, that's where they are, is second point.
Yeah, mentally they're at second point, still trying to wonder exactly just what happened here, but they have to be able to push and persevere now to kind of get through this next half. And I mean, it's a very interesting setup that Aura Fury had. The question is, can it be replicated as successfully on attack, right? You're not going to have as much freedom to hold angles as you want here until you get those initial picks. And you're going to be playing for the low ground in a lot of these situations. The Wrecking Ball necessarily doesn't mind this, but the rest of the composition being very poke oriented is going to suffer unless they can find consistent damage and continue to put Potato Boy in position to sort of just be disruptive.
Well, Diamond Eagles are cooking something up right now, at least on the defense side, I think. They have Wolfgang back on Zarya. Otherwise, everyone else is right where they should be. They have Soj, they have Venture again, the Brig, and the Ana for that hyper-defensive backline, right? But Aura Fury are rolling out, literally, on what has worked pretty much between Lijiang Tower into Circuit Royale. Again, couldn't really use this composition on Atlas as it wasn't Potato Boy in the fight here. That being said, we're going to roll right over the bridge and kind of bait out some resources from that backline of the On and the Brig. Not going to find too much, however. Just going to be able to poke them out and force them a little bit more in some uncomfortable positioning while Wolfgang is, fighting for his life in that front line. All four are up on the bridge, and Wolfgang again with all this distraction, all of the displacement, cannot stay alive against the forces of Festus, of Reason. Potato Boy trying to at least find another one for this side of Aura Fury in the name of Ducky, and Ariza's there to pick it right back up. The boop, the environmental kill also just stings a little bit more coming in from Aura Fury.
Yeah, and again, it's just sort of the Wrecking Ball being able to take this much space, this much aggression here. You're seeing Potato Boy almost at a minefield already here. Diamond Eagles, while they would love to contest here, realistically, it's going to be a staggered contest if they're going to stick on it.
Yeah, I mean, they have a meter and a half to completion, thankfully, and, Wolfgang is stabilizing on the point, but they forgot with the ball in the back line. The Kiriko goes to the swift step, and of course, the Reason is there to follow up on that cooldown being extended from Wolf Pup. That being said, Ducky all by themselves, and that should be the end of the fight, especially with the minefield right there on the payload. Diamond Eagles need to think up a new game plan. Starting off with the Ramantra, starting off with the Mercy, the Ash, the Cassidy. They're going everything that hits hard.
I mean, the double hit skin is a very nice touch now, but the issue is you're going to lose the best, realistically, playing ground you had for it. By taking that fight and recontesting, you're seeing the payload already starting to climb the hill here. So instead of being able to shoot down like Aura Fury was able to do to Diamond Eagles, instead they're just having to sort of play back and play some distance here where the Wrecking Ball can easily roll in.
I'm worried about this Bola shot. Freya's a good fit for a reason. This Bola shot is no different. You can't really see Ufer trying to scout out that, we're looking for it. We're looking for the Bola shot. We're looking for something. and Diamond Eagles needs to respond fast and need to respond appropriately, but they're distracted by the ball once more. Potato Boy goes to the Cassidy, and the follow-up from Theory is very much there. Bullet shot around the corner of the pillar. The rally needs to be used for everyone to stay alive with the overhealth and the healing over time, but is it going to be enough? The big old shield does get a stun. There's enough time to kind of utilize from Wolf to actually get a sneaky res onto Fluky, but of course, the Tidal Blast, the Overclock, everything is being used here because Aura Fury just walked into this fight with so much more advantage under their belt than Diamond Eagles. 3 minutes and 44 seconds on the clock is all they need to go for a cap here of Circuit Royale, and they have now gotten themselves to a comfortable match point.
And yeah, that's definitely the Aura Fury we saw on map 1 here, being able to sort of set up play positions as well as just sort of be in sync with each other for these engages here. That's exactly what we expected from them. And, you know, they absolutely did not disappoint on this map here. It seems as though Diamond Eagles, while they have these burst moments here, especially with big plays like that Nano Blade, they're just struggling to keep that same level of synergy and cohesion, and it's resulting in them just looking a little bit worse for wear in a lot of these fights and getting picked apart rather meticulously.
Ball on Circuit Royale, I think, is the lesson of the day. It really did come into a win here for Aura Fury. Something that really did see Diamond Eagles struggle a lot against it. It's not even just a Diamond Eagles thing. That kind of just is a thing. A lot of teams don't really know how to properly deal with a ball. You might have every correct answer, a Cassidy, an Ana, a Sleep Dart, a Hinder, something to keep him until a Sombra even. And if in the hands of someone like Potato Boy, who constantly gets out free value, who's constantly up, who's constantly never really has a downtime. My man's always up, up, up. He does not give you your turn. He does not allow you to play the game. It becomes more and more frustrating if you're inside Diamond Eagles to figure out what do we do about that, because the only two other options here for our map pools are hybrid and push, right? I wouldn't want to go push because ball can definitely have a lot more mainstay power. Hybrid, however, thought King's Row might be the option here. It can kind of hinder out ball a little bit, but it comes down to where you want to make your move if you're Diamond Eagles.
Exactly. You have, you know, tons of different options and things like that if you're Diamond Eagles here, you know, looking towards what our map pool is, because obviously we have both hybrid and push being the things that are left here. Realistically, you're not just deciding this next map, you're deciding what comes after here and what you're going to leave in the control of Aura Fury, assuming you can get this next map win under your belt here. So there is a lot of factors to think about. Realistically, if I were in the driver's seat on this one, I would go for a hybrid map, specifically something like King's Row, where you can force the brawl a little bit more consistently, just because then when you get over to push, sure, you have some annoying points for brawl, or where the ball can be played rather, but you can play brawl on all three maps that we have in Esperanza, New Queen Street, and Runesapi. So giving that pick over to Aura Fury isn't going to be the end-all be-all if that ends up coming that way.
And it looks like we do get something. It's going to be the Runesapi coming out here for the side of Diamond Eagles. And like you mentioned, you can absolutely continue playing a brawl here. And I do like that you mentioned, you know, you're not just thinking about your map 4, you're thinking about where you're going to be forced into map 5 on that side, right? So Aura Fury, if they lose on Runesapi, they're forced into a guaranteed brawl here in map 5. But again, we gotta get to map 4 first, get the next 10 minutes to decide if we go to map 5 or if Aura Fury take the 3-1 in their favor. With that being said, the bans are coming, and Diamond Eagles have some very, very important decisions to make. Do we pull the trigger? Do we rip the band-aid off? Do we take care of the ball? Do we get it out of the way knowing that most of the maps of hybrid don't really pertain to ball all that well? Or do we save it yet again? Bless you.
Do we save it? Indeed, here becomes the question. Honest to goodness, I would be interested to see if they continue to play the Wrecking Ball on Runesapi, just because there's so many wide open sight lines and things like that, that the ball, you know, you're not exactly going to be able to pull off a sneaky approach here unless people turn off their eyes and ears in some of these situations here. But that being said, you could also see Diamond Eagles just decide to ban the Wrecking Ball flat out, just so that way they don't have to deal with it. But again, banning it here means you don't have that option on the table for map 5. So there is just still so many layers to consider when you're have your back against the wall in a series like this, but the ball ban will come through.
Better now than never, right? I was really hoping that we were going to go for the ball ban, only because if they can make ball work on Circuit Royale, of all places, I think they can make ball work genuinely anywhere. They can make the ball work on the Workshop Island, for all I care, if it was a valid map. So with the ban on the ball finally being utilized, Aura Fury are thinking, okay, do we want to maybe take Potato Boy out, maybe put back in Ascend possibly to help with that Brawl Mirror? Although we did that once with with Atlas, didn't work out. But we do have that response ban of the Venture from Aura Fury. So part of me does think they want to recreate that mirrored composition from Atlas, but take out the biggest factor, which was Ufer's Venture, which really was a problem for Aura Fury earlier on.
Yeah, and the Venture certainly can be an annoying pick, especially when you're running these dive compositions, just because there is very little counterplay. There's a lot of things that you have to sort of swap around and things like that. Speaking of swaps, though, we are going to see both Ascend and Gato return to the lineup here for the side of Aura Fury. Again, potentially hinting at some more brawlier sort of setup here instead of that Wrecking Ball versus Diamond Eagles, who are now going to have Sonari return in place of Ducky. So should be interesting to see how these swaps impact what we're going to end up seeing played beyond just the Wrecking Ball, which we're obviously expecting, because now that Ramatra's not banned, we could potentially finally get that Ramatra mirror.
I'm ready. I'm ready for the real match of the day. Ascend versus Wolfgang with Ramatra online. Again, both of these guys have these as very characters. Could not play them earlier on Atlas. We also have Sonari, as mentioned, coming into the fray for Diamond Eagles in lieu of Ducky. And Wolfpup is staying, of course, as well, right? So likely to help support any sort of success from Fluky and from Ufer, who, again, have had a lot of shining moments, especially if you have Fluky back on Genji. I think that could also be a really, really good idea from Diamond Eagles if they want to tackle Runasapi with the intent of going to a map number 5. And, of course, every team is working to win. Every team wants to win. So, of course, I think that is something that they could also go towards in terms of compositions and possibility of the Genji, the Reaper coming back in for the side of Diamond Eagles. That being said, though, we are loading into Runasapi. Gonna see exactly how these next 10 minutes will fare. Only 10 minutes till we decide the winner of round 1 of playoffs here and who goes down to losers early.
Yeah, and we'll... Again, it's that situation you don't want to be in. You don't want to be sent down to the loser bracket too early. You'd love to be able to continue on in winners and fight with the best of them here. So it is going to sort of be that sort of tooth and nail approach here to this match. We are seeing the spawn rooms finally start to get hovered here again, ascend back onto that Zarya that we saw on Atlas. And then, you know, there were moments for it. But now that we are going to be in a Brawl Mirror, as well as having the Lucio in play instead of having to play, I believe it was with the Juno, just to try to enable speed here, maybe that can be the difference maker. Versus still no speed on the side of Diamond Eagles, but that Mercy Pocket for the Cassidy. You know, lots of damage and a lot of trust you're putting into Ufer.
That's what I'm saying. I really do think Wolfpup is just there to really help this team, especially again the idea of Cassidy get insane value with the Peacemaker, with of course that new piercing perk as well. Very, very nasty, by the way, to have that as a perk. But it's okay. Well, I digress. I'll let it slide a little bit. We have a Reason and Fluky mirroring this oh my goodness, this Reaper. I can't even speak. Wait. We've got Aura Fury are back on the field. They have their Lucio. They have some speed. They have something to work towards, and it's gonna be completely clearing the field of Diamond Eagles. And there's a swap. The Mercy cast did not work. Let's go to what's working a little bit more. We have Wolfpuck on that Ana, and we have Ufer back on Tracer.
Yeah, and so yeah, having to swap over to the Tracer and make these swaps already is certainly not the position you want to be in. But look at these bubbles being applied to a Reason, just allowing this Reaper to sort of live fearlessly with this over-aggression.
you at least had the Shadow Step still online, the Wraith form online, so not really too much of a loss to get slapped in the Anthony and able to cleanse it yourself with, of course, that Wraith form. The objective is already at the checkpoint here, so more importantly, it's passing the checkpoint. Ascent is pretty much high charge. You can see how blue he is right now. That's how you can tell how high charge he is, and that's why you see that beautiful over aggression now slowly depleting. Is that meter going down to 30%? We get another 13 with the extra little bit of charge from that bubble. Wolfpup, she does at least find one. Taking care of Festus is big, and you can see so much resources are being poured into Wolfgang, and Reason once more is taken out without the Wraith form to back out, so you're over-relying on the long startup of that Shadow Step, and it's just not going to be enough. 89 meters, though, is nothing to scoff at, as Orifure are going to die in the objective to stall out the next couple of minutes here of Renasapi.
Yeah, and I mean, just having to buy at least a little bit of time. I mean, Diamond Eagles, it cannot have felt good to have already dropped almost 90 meters here, and now they have some tools for both sides to work with, so it's going to be very interesting to decide who's going to use what.
Well, it's going to be the Continuing Rush coming through from Gato, first and foremost. Reason gets enough building power to take care of Wolfgang really before the Annihilation is even a thought to be used here. And I think at this point, it comes down to the fact that we lose our Ramantra. We don't really have the speed to get out fast enough, and everyone else is basically sitting duck for Festus to walk up on.
Exactly, and so now Aura Fury is just being able to continue the momentum here potentially. As long as they're not going to get caught out by these ultimates that Diamond Eagles has, they should be able to just sort of keep everything moving because they have all of the tools in their favor right now.
There's a Graviton Surge first, and boost on to the Ramantra, keeping him alive a lot longer. Annihilation gets used after the fact, and the Reason finding out two people kind of isolated, the Ana and the Kiriko. While all this is happening, however, there is a slightly bit of sneaky contesting coming in from Ufer, snagging up that bot, pushing it back towards that forward spawn area, and in the midst of it all, we do see Wolfpup has gone off the Ana, wanting some more mobility, wanting some more survivability, goes over to Moira instead.
Yeah, and trying to find value with the Ana, but already this fight's going.
It is. The Dragon Blade, and on top of the sound barrier comes in, and I'm really Mega Last. It's just a big tempo difference here between Diamond Eagles and Aura Fury.
Yeah, Diamond Eagles will have a chance to sort of reset the tempo here before the end of the map. Now that they've sort of forced all the ultimates out from Aura Fury, they're going to be able to come in with their own Kitsune Rush as well as some other tools if they need to win this fight outright.
Okay, hold on. The Reinhardt has come back from Wolfgang, so that shield has previously been a big thorn for Ascend. It might actually be one once more. Blossom is here, trying to look for Gato first in the engagement, and so he's really forcing out a lot of the resources from this Kiriko. Only gets TP really close though, so it's a very quick cleanup here for Fluky. On top of that, finds Theory, but there's nothing else from the Reaper. Wolfgang takes care of Ascend in the front line, thankfully, as basically all the attention was pulled into Fluky from the back line. So again, Ascend was like kind of left a little bit naked in the front.
Yeah, left a little bit weak there, but I mean, look at this. I mean, already 133 meters, and we're halfway through the time bank of the map, just about, but already engaging again.
They did engage, and Wolfgang is out of the fight as quickly as it had started. You see a little bit of pressure being put onto Festus, of course, on that Moira, but they turn their attention, divert it to Fluky, and now the next target of choice is definitely going to be the Kiriko, forcing his Suzu, forcing his fifth step. There should be easy follow-up from the opposition now that Wolfgang is back from that spawn area.
I mean, you're seeing it here with a Reason, right? It's just a Reaper being able to walk forward fearlessly, knowing those bubbles are there if you choose to overextend and things like that. It really is the difference maker in allowing this player to just be confident in their actions.
Oh, I love this Blossom, though, from Fluky. I mean, you kind of just go in, especially in the face of a Kitsune Rush coming through from Gato. That is some confidence. That is some real gall needed to just go in, rip the Blossom, get to, and start the push again. You still have time. That's a good thing. You have 4 minutes to attack this point.
Exactly, right? Plays like that is what's going to keep Diamond Eagles in it here, and Fluky's been doing that all a day long here. Now, looking to this next one, as long as you can force out, I'd say, at least one of these bubbles consistently, this Earth Shatter from Wolfgang should be the next thing to win a fight.
Well, the Graviton Surge comes in, and we shut down the Blossom. It did get just one little bit of value. The Coalescence of all things does clear the field of both DPS, and as you mentioned, the Shatter did come into fruition, and there is a great deal of follow-up coming through from Diamond Eagles. This is exactly what we needed from these guys. They can start getting some objective progress at the latter half of Murasabi.
Yeah, and they still have time to work with, thankfully, here. Now, as they move towards that first checkpoint, the big question is, can Ufer end this next fight before it has the chance to begin with this Pulse Bomb here? At the very least, force out some key cooldowns, because Aura Fury going to be coming into this with both a Sound Barrier and a Dragon Blade is going to be very difficult to beat.
You can see the Sound Barrier gets used first. We wait a little bit of time, and then we lay out everything we need to let this Dragon Blade get as much full value as possible from Festus. And it definitely has shown in that kill feed. Finds 2, losing Fury, not too shabby. If all people want to lose, it's okay to lose your Lucio. They come back almost immediately, more often than not. But they go into this fight without anything else versus an unmatched Kiriko ultimate from Sonari.
Exactly, and that unmatched Kiriko ultimate should be the difference maker here. But the thing is, obviously, you don't want to expend it if you're a Diamond Eagle, so they're probably going to try to play this as neutral as possible here, and then only invest if they need to.
Well, they felt like they need to really early on. The Kiriko Rush cleans the field and forces basically all of Aura Fury to back up towards that first initial corner. A reason really wasn't there in the speed boost, couldn't get out fast enough, and we're just seeing the momentum really pile up once more for Diamond Eagles. The pin makes, what a made-up pin. It does find a send either way, and thankfully, again, Diamond Eagles has a chance to prove themselves. 2 minutes left on the clock. This is all on the line here.
And so now, again, like you said, with the time starting to dwindle here, it is going to be a factor for Diamond Eagles, but already a Shatter out.
Oh, big slam from Oop, and bigger Fire Strike does connect onto Theory. I mean, that's big. No speed boost available for Diamond Eagles. They are going to, in fact, use a continuing rush. That's a little bit of help here coming in for Diamond Eagles, as they are able to take out the Sand, they take out Fluky. Back and forth trade-off. If we can find the Genji too, that'd be even better for the success of Diamond Eagles as they continue this fight for a very long time. Blossom is also in the field, but Ariza goes to the back line with a little bit cold feet before ripping it finally after the charge of Booth. But again, not going to find too much value here.
Yeah, not able to find exactly what you're wanting if you're the side of Aura Fury, but Diamond Eagle certainly is going to be happier and happier here now, forcing Bubbles out as both teams have regrouped here. It is going to be a chaotic one.
And there it is. Blossom comes through. The damage output is enough to allow Ufer and company to finish the field here. 50 seconds left. They basically need a full cap Runasapi, and this is the map that you can do it on.
It is the map you can do it on, but look at what they're pushing into. It's going to be a Graviton Dragon Blade combo, as well as a Sound Barrier from Theory. I mean, Diamond Eagles, realistically, they have to stay grouped up in order to make sure everybody stays alive from the Moira healing, but also they can't stay grouped up in fear of the grab.
Okay, well, here's the Kitsune Rush first, and Aura Fury decided we're gonna back up a little bit, re-engage with Sound Barrier instead. Recall used early from Oops, that's a really big resource. It's not gonna be online for this side Diamond Eagle. Sonari teleports ideally to safety, but it just goes right into the nest, into the hands of the Dragon Blade from Festus. Ascend they even need to use the Graviton Surge. Only 10 seconds left. They are leaving the objective open for Ufer, but that is all that we wrote. There's no way. I mean, it's gonna be definitely Aura Fury with that 3-1 victory here up against Diamond Eagles, moving throughout that winner side bracket. Diamond Eagles, don't fret. You have one more life in the lower bracket, the lower side of things, but it's gonna get real hairy down there real fast.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It was a good absolute effort for Diamond Eagles, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do in that lower bracket, because they can clearly sort of punch up and give some of these teams a run for their money here. But again, the Aura Fury, what sort of put them ahead in this matchup was just their unmatched synergy, right? They constantly were in tandem with each other. There was never a time you were really thinking, oh, they're really scattered and not focusing right now. No, it was a constant locked in effort in what their game plan was, and they knew how to execute it every step of the way here. So absolutely what you love to see from them. And now I'm interested to see how they're going to fare in that next upper bracket match.
Well, we can ask all those questions once we go to our interview with one of the victors from Aura Fury. Can't wait to see, how they felt. Losing a map means that they can bleed, they can be defeated, but today, not by Diamond Eagles. We're gonna get an interview with someone from Aura Fury in just a couple of minutes. So we're gonna see you guys on the other side of this break with somebody in tow and ask, what is going on? See you guys in a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. An exciting four-map series, which ended in the win here for Aura Fury. And I cannot wait to dive into the little logistics of everything with not just the coach themselves. Listen, I have Blank here coming up for an interview. And Blank, I have to say, wonderfully done from the team here, truly. And can you kind of, on that note, tell us what some of the core game plans going in for the team here, especially against the Diamond Eagles?
So our core game plans going into this is we kind of knew what to expect from Diamond Eagles as we had played them in the past, or kind of played them in the past. So kind of knew what to expect, and it was a lot of just trimming up what we do well with our comps. We obviously, we stick to two things mainly. We stick to our Zarya, we stick to our ball, and honestly, it was just a lot of trimming with our Zarya comp mainly, because funny enough, ACS actually only started playing Overwatch less than a year ago, so extremely new Overwatch player, especially to be the primary tank player of Aura Fury. So it was just trimming up with that, just making sure we were getting our comms down, making sure we were timing our engages properly. That was really all that we were doing in the warm up to this.
I mean, yeah, we could absolutely see it in the gameplay, especially with some of those nade slam synergy things we were seeing go on. It was absolutely beautiful to watch here. But, looking at the matchup specifically here, as you guys, were able to deal with Diamond Eagles here, did you think that they would be able to sort of throw a few more curveballs your way, or was this just sort of exactly how you thought it would go?
So I won't lie. ACS has never played against a Reinhardt on Zarya and got completely lost on Atlas. Um, that was a big one. That mid fight or that mid round bio break afterwards was a big me and him talking for a bit, saying like, "Hey, this is what we need to do. This is how you need to play against Ryan in the future." Yada yada, so on and so forth. That stuff. So that was a big curveball to us. Was just seeing a Ryan in general. We didn't really expect to see that. We more expected to see a lot of Ram and ACS. Even though Ram is more of a Zarya counter, ACS has gotten very, very comfortable with the Ram Zarya duel. And as it shows, I mean, I don't think we've lost on Zarya to a Ram yet. So I think we'll continue to stomp like that. Zarya is the meta brawl tank, and you can't change my mind.
I mean, on that note, you're kind of right? Zarya has really just risen up in the ranks, and with the way that, he was playing the character, especially the difference between Atlas and Runasapi, I think it really does show, how important that kind of coach session that he did get in the middle really came into fruition and helped you guys get the win here on Runasapi. With that being said, are there any other tricks that we could see possibly in the future, especially as the playoff bracket continues to go the way you guys are expecting?
Potato Boy's got a mean hazard. Be ready for that if the ball ever does get banned and we need to play any kind of dive focused maps. So far, greatest hazard player I've ever seen in my life. We're trying to teach theory to feed a little less. We're hoping that if we can get that down, we could really be a contending number 1 or number 2 team. If we can make that happen. But on his current rate, it's only looking like he's feeding more. So,
I mean, just feeding more. I mean, hey, listen, you got time to work it out here, especially against these top teams. But before we let you go and send you off, if there's any shout outs you want to make or anything like that, we'll give you the floor to do so now.
Shout out to P-Bach. That's my boy. He's definitely the silent carry in my head. Festus is boosted. Let's keep that logic here. Reason, obviously, absolute GOAT. Potato Boy, my previously retired ball player, coming back to carry us through the season. Definitely shouts to him. Our manager Rudy, absolute GOAT manager. There isn't a better one. You can't change my mind. Rudy has managed almost every team I've ever coached or played on, and I can tell you there's a reason that they stick around. But I'll also shout out to Gato. I hate him, but shout out to you.
Not the hate on Gato. What did Gato do?
Hate Gato. That guy's awful. Hate that guy. Don't vote Gato. Don't vote Gato support MVP. All right, he doesn't deserve it.
Everyone vote Gato support MVP this season, please and thank you. With that being said, Blank, thank you so much for your time, and you can really see how much you have helped Aura Fury, especially even just in the short time span of map 2 and map 4, and of course much more and beyond. Thank you so much, and we're happy to see you guys again in the later rounds of the playoff bracket. So all the luck to you and your team.
Thank you. Bye guys.
No, have a good one. Bye. Oh, and that's it. That's the end of not just this match mega, but it's also the end of round 1, at least the winner's side for all of our divisions, I believe. Yeah. And now we move into round 2. We also are going to be dipping our toes into the lower bracket a little bit here as the weeks come through. Really good series to end on, I must say. 3-1. Some silliness, some good stuff going on, and I can't wait to see even more as we continue to progress through season 16.
Exactly. Matches are only going to get closer from here on out, both in upper and lower brackets, as teams are fighting for those spots in the grand finals or fighting to stay alive, whichever side of the bracket you're ending up on right now. And again, it's what season 16's built up to. It feels like it's come and gone in the blink of an eye, but there's still plenty more action over the next few weeks to come. So make sure that you're, clicking the follow and all that stuff, because, you don't want to miss it.
No, you absolutely don't want to miss any of this action. Big shout outs to my producer and my observer, Echo and Mara, for always just giving us the best quality of production and OBSing really ever. And everyone else in CGL, great first week. And we'll see you guys next week for even more jam-packed CGL action all the way from the plat tier up into the open tier. All sorts of play, all sorts of skill levels, and all fighting for the same thing of being crowned the champion of Season 16 of CGL. On that note, have a wonderful night, everyone, and we'll see you guys for some extra matches in the next couple of weeks.
Got lots of love.